Have you ever noticed how the world applauds women who shine on the outside, yet rarely notices the quiet battles they fight inside? Every day, millions of women wake up carrying dreams, doubts, and responsibilities that could crush anyone else. And yet, some women, not because they have more luck, not because they are stronger naturally, but because of what they do daily, transform their life into something extraordinary. Today, I want to share 9 habits every woman must practice daily, habits that will not just improve your day, they will change your life forever. The first key point is honoring your morning. Imagine waking up while the world is still quiet, the sky carrying the faintest hint of light before the sun fully claims it. In those fragile, untouched hours, there is a space that belongs only to you. A space where nothing has yet demanded your attention, where no one has yet tried to pull pieces of you into their chaos. How you spend these hours whispers to the rest of your day. If you rush, if you surrender immediately to noise and distraction, you hand over your power before you even stand. But if you pause, even for a moment, and let your morning greet you, you plant a seed of control, clarity, and calm that can grow into something unstoppable. It begins with stillness, though stillness is not simply doing nothing. Stillness is a conscious act of listening to yourself, of tuning into the rhythm of your own heartbeat and the quiet nudges of your mind. When you allow yourself to breathe and to notice, the fog of fatigue and doubt lifts, just enough for the light inside you to flicker. There is something sacred in this intimacy with yourself. You start to see that mornings are not just a time to move your body or plan your day. They are a chance to recognize who you are before the world starts telling you who you should be. And that recognition, even if subtle, is a gift you cannot reclaim once it passes. The morning is a mirror reflecting not only the person you are, but the person you are becoming. In these hours, your thoughts are fresh and malleable, like wet clay ready to be shaped. If you fill them with resentment, fear, or the weight of yesterday's mistakes, that clay hardens and your day carries the heaviness forward. But if you choose intention, if you whisper to yourself, "Today I will move with clarity. Today I will act with courage," the clay softens, bending to the shape of your will. It may seem small, just a few moments before breakfast, before notifications, before demands, but these moments are far from small. They are the blueprint of your day, the quiet architecture that determines the strength of everything you build. Movement matters, but not only as exercise. Movement can be as simple as stretching your arms toward the ceiling, feeling your spine lengthen, feeling your body remember it is alive and capable. Or it can be a slow walk outside, noticing the chill on your skin or the first bird song threading the air. When your body moves consciously in these early hours, it wakes not just muscles, but awareness. You begin to notice the difference between acting out of habit and acting from presence. And presence is what turns ordinary routines into rituals. Rituals are not about perfection, they are about paying attention, about honoring yourself in ways the world will not always honor you. The morning also invites creation. Writing a thought, sketching an idea, speaking a prayer, or even listing small goals can ignite a spark that carries through hours and weeks. Creation in the quiet is powerful because it bypasses the noise of opinion, comparison, and doubt. In these hours, you are not competing, you are not performing, you are simply expressing, shaping, and acknowledging your inner life. And what begins as a small private act often grows into momentum, the kind of momentum that makes you resilient when challenges arrive, the kind that cannot be borrowed or faked. There is courage in choosing your morning. It is an act of defiance against the inertia of comfort and the endless pull of distraction. You have to decide, sometimes against yourself, sometimes against habit, that this hour belongs to your growth, your mind, your clarity. And the courage is quiet, it does not shout. It is in saying no to scrolling, no to rushing, no to immediate demands that do not matter. That courage plants a rhythm in your life, a rhythm of attention, of awareness, of self-respect. Once this rhythm is established, it begins to echo in every decision, every action, every relationship you have. Finally, honoring your morning teaches patience. Life will rush at you, will demand everything all at once, but mornings remind you that time is not your enemy. Time in these hours is your canvas. You can choose the colors of your day, the brushstrokes of your energy, and the composition of your focus. There is a quiet confidence that comes from meeting the day on your terms, from proving to yourself daily that your inner world is not negotiable. In this practice, you learn that power is not in doing more, but in beginning wisely, deliberately, and gently, one morning at a time. The second key point is speaking to yourself with love. It sounds simple, almost too simple, but the way you speak to yourself shapes the very lens through which you experience life. Every day, in quiet moments, our mind whispers judgments, doubts, and fears. And if you let them take root, they grow into walls that block your potential. Words, even the ones you say silently to yourself, carry weight. They can build or break. And the truth is, no one else will guard your inner world as fiercely as you can. The moment you begin to treat yourself with tenderness, understanding, and patience, you change the foundation of everything else. Your decisions, your relationships, your energy, and your confidence. Many women live under the tyranny of comparison, measuring their worth against achievements, appearances, or imagined standards of perfection. But every time you repeat harsh self-criticism, every time you dismiss your own efforts, you are watering a weed in the garden of your mind. Instead, what if you spoke to yourself as you would to someone you love unconditionally? What if you acknowledged the battles you fight that nobody else sees? The exhaustion, the emotional labor, the relentless pressure, and instead of judging, you said, "I see you, I honor you, you are enough." That simple act, repeated daily, is revolutionary. It interrupts the cycle of doubt and creates a space where growth is possible. Speaking to yourself with love also means noticing the stories you tell yourself. How often do you replay mistakes or exaggerate failures as though your worth hinges on them? Every story you tell yourself colors your reality. If your narrative is filled with blame, fear, and unworthiness, it will echo in every choice you make. But if your narrative is rooted in kindness, curiosity, and hope, it gives you permission to try again, to forgive yourself, to keep moving forward. Your words are the architects of your experience. Speak with intention, and your life begins to reshape itself from the inside out. Love for yourself is not indulgence or self-centeredness. It is survival. It is clarity. Imagine carrying a fragile lamp through darkness. If you keep knocking it against the walls, the light will shatter. If you cradle it gently, protecting its flame, it illuminates the path ahead. Your mind is that lamp. Harsh words, comparisons, and self-reproach dim your light, leaving you stumbling. Gentle, affirming words nourish it, and suddenly you see possibilities that were always there, but invisible under the weight of criticism. Self-love is the lens through which your potential comes into focus. The way you speak to yourself influences your inner energy. Negative self-talk breeds anxiety, hesitation, and indecision. Positive, loving self-talk fosters courage, clarity, and resilience. Think of your inner dialogue as music. Harsh, relentless criticism is a constant dissonant note that grates against your being. Words of affirmation, patience, and encouragement are a melody that strengthens you, a rhythm that carries you through challenges and doubt. Every time you choose love over judgment, your inner song grows richer, more harmonious, and more capable of facing life with composure and strength. To speak to yourself with love is to embrace imperfection with grace. Life will test you, and you will falter, stumble, or feel inadequate at times. But the measure of your inner strength is not in avoiding mistakes, it is in how you respond to them. Imagine a garden after a storm, broken branches, scattered leaves, and wet soil. A harsh gardener might give up, tear the roots, or discard the plants. A loving gardener sees the potential for recovery, gently tends the soil, and nurtures new growth. Your inner voice must be that gardener. Speak with patience, encouragement, and faith in your own resilience, and you cultivate a life that can endure storms and flourish. Finally, speaking to yourself with love allows you to set boundaries with the world. When you recognize your value, when you treat yourself with respect and care, it becomes impossible to settle for less than you deserve. You no longer accept voices, relationships, or circumstances that diminish you because you have trained your inner voice to defend and uplift you first. This habit transforms quiet mornings into powerful awakenings, ordinary decisions into acts of courage, and daily struggles into lessons in self-respect. It is in the way you speak to yourself, day after day, that you build a life that listens to your worth and answers to your strength. The third key point is nourishing your body consciously. So often women move through life as if their bodies are mere vessels to get from one task to another, filling them with whatever is convenient, whatever is fast, whatever is enough to survive the day. But your body is not a machine, it is a living, sensing, breathing landscape, a home for your mind, your emotions, your energy. Every bite, every sip, every moment of stillness or motion communicates with it, shaping not just your health, but your presence, your clarity, your confidence. To nourish consciously is to recognize that this vessel carries your dreams, your resilience, and your potential, and it deserves intention, attention, and care. Eating with awareness is not about rules or restriction, it is about listening. How often have you rushed through a meal, eyes on your phone, thoughts scattered, barely tasting what passes through your mouth? In those moments, your body is not fed, only filled. But when you slow down, when you feel the texture, the warmth, the color, the energy in every bite, you are telling yourselves, I see you, I value you. The act becomes a dialogue, a gentle communication that bridges mind and body, reminding you that vitality is cultivated, not stumbled upon. Movement is nourishment too. It is not about perfect routines, exhausting workouts, or chasing a shape defined by someone else's standards. Movement is about connection, about remembering that your body is alive, capable, responsive. A short walk in the morning, stretching while the sun peeks through your window, dancing to music in your living room. All of these are messages of care, affirming, I honor this body that carries me through life. Consciously moving tells your body it is worthy of attention. That energy is not just something to be spent, but something to be cultivated and celebrated. Hydration is more than a physical necessity, it is a metaphor for clarity. Just as water cleanses the dust from a window, each sip allows your mind to see more clearly, your body to function more freely, and your emotions to flow without stagnation. Neglecting hydration is like trying to read a book through foggy glass. You think you see, but clarity is missing. Consciously drinking water, noticing its coolness, feeling it travel through your body is an act of presence, an acknowledgement that even the smallest acts of care ripple outward in ways we rarely notice, strengthening energy, focus, and resilience. Nourishment also means choice. Every day, you are presented with countless options, some fleeting, some habitual, some convenient. To choose consciously is to reclaim agency. Choosing vibrant fruits over processed snacks, balanced meals over rushed chaos, moments to rest over moments to push endlessly. These are not trivial acts. They are declarations to yourself, I matter, my energy matters, my body is worth tending. Each choice compounds, shaping not only your physical health, but your sense of discipline, your self-respect, and your confidence that you can guide your life instead of being swept along by it. Eating and moving with awareness changes your relationship with your body entirely. It shifts the focus from punishment to gratitude, from frustration to collaboration. Instead of seeing your body as a problem to fix or a limit to endure, you see it as an ally, a partner in your journey. Every mindful action, breathing deeply, savoring a meal, stretching to release tension, is a conversation with that ally, a way of nurturing not just survival, but strength, resilience, and joy. You begin to notice how small acts of care amplify into energy for your passions, your work, your relationships. Finally, nourishing consciously cultivates patience and respect for your own rhythm. Bodies do not transform overnight. They respond gradually, silently to consistent care. By honoring this, you quiet the inner critic that demands instant perfection and instead embrace a process. You notice the energy returning to your steps, the clarity in your mind, the calm in your emotions. You learn that nourishment is not a task, a punishment, or a fleeting goal. It is a lifelong conversation with yourself, an acknowledgement that your body is sacred, that it carries everything you are and everything you are becoming. The fourth key point is guarding your mind. Your mind is the stage where every thought, every do, UBT, every dream, every fear performs its daily play. Most women let anyone with a louder voice, a sharper opinion, or a trending idea direct that stage, unaware that even a single careless thought can linger like smoke, clouding your judgment, sapping your energy, and shaping your world without permission. Guarding your mind is not about shutting out life. It is about choosing which voices deserve your attention, which thoughts deserve your weight, and which seeds will grow in the soil of your consciousness. It is the art of listening carefully and planting deliberately. Thoughts are deceptively ordinary, yet they are architects of reality. A fleeting worry repeated becomes anxiety. A single doubt rehearsed becomes hesitation. But the opposite is equally true. A thought of courage, a reminder of strength, a flash of gratitude can expand and carry you further than any external circumstance. To guard your mind is to notice these patterns, to see which thoughts are serving you and which are sabotaging you. It is to pause before letting a worry dictate your day, before letting a negative voice claim authority over your decisions. It is the gentle act of being the gatekeeper to your inner life. Comparison is one of the fiercest intruders. Social media, casual comments, even well-meaning advice can become a mirror that distorts rather than reflects. It is easy to forget that every person you measure yourself against is living a story you cannot see fully, carrying battles you can know. Imagine. When you allow comparison to live inside your mind, it consumes space meant for your creativity, your confidence, and your peace. Guarding your mind requires recognizing this intrusion, setting boundaries, and refusing to allow someone else's highlight reel to define your self-worth. It is an act of liberation as much as it is protection. Guarding your mind also involves monitoring the conversations you have with yourself. Every judgment, every replayed mistake, every imagined failure is a tiny leak in the reservoir of your energy. Often, these are subtle whispered critiques that feel normal because they are habitual. But the truth is, your inner dialogue is either nurturing you or draining you. Consciously shifting the narrative, acknowledging effort over outcome, learning over shame, resilience over regret, transforms your mental environment. The more you protect this dialogue, the stronger your mind becomes and the more capable you are of facing challenges without being overwhelmed. Your mind is also influenced by what you absorb from the outside, the media you watch, the news you read, the conversations you join. Guarding your mind is not avoidance, it is discernment. You cannot control every word spoken in the world, but you can control which words you carry inside. Words that inspire, teach, uplift, and provoke reflection strengthen your mental landscape. Words that incite fear, panic, resentment, or envy are weeds. Pull them out before they root. It is a deal. By practice, a conscious curation of your mental diet, because what you consume mentally becomes the energy you act with physically. Silence is part of guarding your mind. It may feel uncomfortable at first, because when you are quiet, your thoughts can grow loud, demanding attention. But in that silence, you gain awareness. You see which thoughts are yours and which have been planted by others. You notice the mental clutter that has been running on autopilot. And with that awareness comes choice. You can decide which thoughts to nurture, which to challenge, and which to release. Silence becomes a shield and a mirror, both protecting and clarifying the mind. Finally, guarding your mind is a practice of sovereignty. It is the recognition that no one has the right to dictate your inner world unless you permit it. Every time you choose awareness over autopilot, presence over distraction, discernment over impulse, you reclaim authority over your life. A protected mind is fertile, ready to generate ideas, to solve problems, to create joy, to navigate complexity with calm and clarity. It is the foundation of resilience, the birthplace of focus, and the quiet power that allows a woman to walk through life unshaken, deliberate, and alive. The fifth key point is prioritizing time for reflection. Life moves fast, faster than you sometimes realize, and in that speed it is easy to forget that the world outside is only half of your story. The other half, the part that shapes your choices, your clarity, your purpose, lives inside, quietly waiting to be noticed. Reflection is not about judgment or perfection. It is about listening to yourself deeply, acknowledging the threads of thought and feeling that weave through each day. Without it, life becomes a series of reactions, a string of events where you are present only in fragments, never fully aware of what you are building or who you are becoming. Reflection begins with stillness, a deliberate pause to turn your attention inward. It can be as simple as sitting quietly with a cup of tea, letting your mind wander without interference, or as deliberate as journaling your thoughts and emotions, laying them on paper like stones to examine and understand. In these moments, patterns emerge. You begin to notice the choices you make automatically, the habits that serve you and those that drain you. The act of observing yourself with honesty and gentleness opens a window into your inner world, a world often overlooked but always shaping the life you live. Through reflection, you confront your doubts without letting them define you. Fear, regret, and self-criticism are natural companions, but they gain power when ignored or denied. Sitting with these emotions, observing them without panic, allows you to understand them, to unpack why they appear, and to decide consciously whether they deserve attention or release. It is in this deliberate facing of your inner life that strength grows quietly, a strength built not on avoiding struggle, but on engaging it with awareness. Reflection becomes a mirror, revealing both vulnerability and resilience, showing you exactly where to step next. Time for reflection also sharpens perception. When you're constantly moving, reacting, multitasking, the subtleties of life, the choices, the conversations, the opportunities pass unnoticed. Reflection slows you down, letting you see patterns and connections that were invisible in the rush. You begin to recognize what nourishes your soul and what drains it, which relationships elevate you and which tether you, which actions align with your values and which drift you away from yourself. That clarity is invaluable. It turns ordinary decisions into intentional ones, transforming survival into purposeful living. Reflection allows gratitude to emerge naturally without forcing it or making it a list of obligations. When you look back on a day with attention, even the smallest moments, an unexpected smile, a quiet conversation, the feel of sunlight on your skin, become sources of recognition and appreciation. Gratitude shifts your perspective from scarcity to abundance, from tension to ease, and it builds an invisible strength that protects against disappointment and despair. It reminds you that life is not only about tasks accomplished, but also about moments lived fully and consciously. It is also through reflection that lessons are learned. Every mistake, every failure, every misstep carries wisdom that often goes unnoticed in the rush of daily life. Taking time to consider what happened, why it happened, and how you can respond differently next time transforms errors into stepping stones. You stop repeating patterns unconsciously. You begin to navigate challenges with foresight, and you discover that your own mind can be your greatest teacher if you listen carefully. The quiet act of reflection turns chaos into comprehension, confusion into insight, and struggle into strategy. Finally, prioritizing reflection cultivates a sense of inner alignment. When you pause to understand your thoughts, your emotions, and your intentions, you begin to act in harmony with your true self rather than being swept along by external pressures or fleeting impulses. Life starts to feel less like a storm to survive and more like a river to navigate consciously, with awareness of the currents, the rocks, and the open spaces ahead. This practice of reflection becomes a sanctuary, a source of clarity and calm that strengthens every decision, every relationship, and every step you take, allowing you to live not only with purpose, but with presence. The sixth key point is giving generously but wisely. Generosity is often seen as limitless giving, as though the measure of a woman's worth is how much she can pour into others without pause. But true generosity is not endless. It is conscious, deliberate, and aware. It is not about depletion, it is about alignment. When you give from a place of understanding and presence, every act becomes transformative, not just for the receiver, but for the giver. It is a rhythm of life, a practice of energy, where what flows out is replenished by intention, clarity, and respect for your own limits. Generosity begins with observation. To give wisely, you must see what is truly needed, not what your assumptions or emotions tell you. A small, thoughtful gesture can carry far more weight than a grand but careless act. Listening, noticing, and understanding the situation before responding ensures your giving actually uplifts rather than complicates. There is power in attentiveness, in discerning what is meaningful to someone else instead of scattering your energy on what feels urgent or impressive. Giving without awareness is like scattering seeds in the wind. You may see some grow, but many will be wasted. Boundaries are part of wise generosity. Many women struggle with saying no, believing that love and kindness require sacrifice of their own well-being. But generosity without boundaries becomes self-erasing. When you honor your limits, when you recognize that your energy, your health, and your peace are not infinite, you protect the very source from which your giving flows. Wise generosity knows the difference between nurturing and overextending. It is not selfish, it is sustainable. It ensures that each act of giving is full, intentional, and genuinely capable of making a difference. Giving generously also requires emotional discernment. Not every plea, very expectation, every demand deserves your energy or response. Life presents countless opportunities to help, yet some are traps for depletion, distractions from your purpose, or exercises in obligation rather than meaningful impact. Recognizing when to step forward and when to step back is essential. It is a subtle skill, the kind that grows with awareness and reflection, and it is what separates generosity that nourishes from generosity that drains. True generosity carries presence, not just action. A gift given without attention, a word spoken without feeling, a help offered without connection. It misses the essence of generosity. Presence is what transforms a simple act into a gesture that resonates deeply. When you are fully attentive, when your energy and heart are aligned with the act, the impact multiplies. The receiver feels it, the giver feels it, and the act becomes a quiet bridge between lives. Generosity, when conscious, is not just a transaction, it is a conversation of spirit. Generosity also shapes the giver internally. Each conscious act of giving builds empathy, patience, and perspective. You begin to see the subtle struggles in others that were invisible before. And in recognizing them, you recognize yourself more deeply. Wise giving teaches you the balance of compassion with discernment, of action with reflection, of presence with boundaries. It is a mirror in which you see your values in motion, a practice that strengthens your integrity and expands your sense of connection. without costing your vitality. Finally, giving generously but wisely transforms relationships, communities, and self-perception. You learn to distinguish between acts that empower and acts that enable, between gestures that create resilience and gestures that create dependency. Every conscious gift of time, attention, support, or resources becomes a deliberate thread in the fabric of life, weaving connection without tearing your own energy. In this practice, generosity becomes not a burden but a source of joy, clarity, and strength. It teaches that giving is not measured by volume but by awareness, intention, and the quiet wisdom to give in ways that honor both others and yourself. The seventh key point is ending your day with gratitude and forgiveness. Too often, women carry the weight of the day into the night, letting mistakes, regrets, or unresolved tensions linger like shadows in the corners of their minds. Sleep becomes a shallow refuge instead of a true rest. But when you pause each evening to acknowledge what went well, to honor the efforts you made, and to forgive what went wrong, you create a sacred closing ritual. Gratitude and forgiveness are not abstract ideals. They are tangible acts that restore balance, clear clutter, and prepare your mind and heart for a fresh start. Gratitude begins with noticing. It is easy to overlook the subtle blessings when the day has been loud, stressful, or demanding. But even in the smallest moments, a shared SMI, a conversation that lifted your spirits, the quiet moments of self-reflection, there is richness waiting to be recognized. By intentionally identifying these moments, you shift your focus from scarcity to abundance, from frustration to appreciation. Gratitude is a lens that reframes your entire experience, revealing the value in what might otherwise feel ordinary or insignificant. Forgiveness works hand in hand with gratitude. Every day carries moments where tension arises, where someone's words or actions hurt, or where you yourself stumble. Holding on to these moments, rehearsing them in your mind, letting them fester, is like carrying stones in a bag you were never meant to bear. Forgiveness, especially of yourself, is the act of opening your hands, of releasing those stones, and of allowing your energy to flow freely again. It does not condone mistakes or mean that accountability disappears. It simply allows peace to replace the weight that serves no purpose in moving you forward. Evening reflection is a chance to look inward without judgment. When you consider your day, you see patterns and choices, successes and missteps, all through the lens of learning rather than blame. This moment allows you to acknowledge that you acted with the resources and awareness you had at that time, and that is enough. You cannot change what has already passed, but you can choose how it influences tomorrow. By combining gratitude with forgiveness, you create a rhythm of self-compassion and growth, where mistakes become lessons and small wins become celebrations. The practice of closing your day in this way also strengthens emotional resilience. Life is unpredictable, and challenges arise in ways that are often beyond your control. But when you cultivate the habit of gratitude and forgiveness, you train your mind to respond to difficulty with perspective rather than panic. You build an inner reservoir of calm and clarity, a place to return to when external chaos threatens to overwhelm. This habit transforms evenings into sanctuaries, moments of restoration that extend into every action you take the following day. This daily practice also nurtures relationships. When you carry resentment or unspoken tension into sleep, it creates invisible barriers that shape how you interact with others. By forgiving those who may have hurt you even in small ways, you release both them and yourself from unnecessary burden. It is a subtle but powerful gift. To clear the emotional slate, to enter tomorrow without carrying yesterday's friction. Gratitude amplifies this effect, reminding you of the people, experiences, and interactions that brought warmth, support, or inspiration. Together, they create a sense of connection, compassion, and perspective that ripples outward in your life. Finally, ending your day with gratitude and forgiveness cultivates a profound sense of alignment. It is a practice of completeness, a recognition that life is made up of moments, some joyful, some difficult, all worthy of attention and care. When you consistently honor both the light and the shadow of your day, you cultivate a mind that is calm, a heart that is open, and a spirit that is ready to meet tomorrow with focus, energy, and presence. This quiet habit may feel small, but its impact is transformative, shaping the rhythm of your life from the inside out. When you step back and look at these habits together, you begin to see that they are not separate tasks or items on a list. They are threads of a single fabric, threads that weave presence, awareness, care, and intention into the life you are living. Each choice you make, each moment you dedicate to yourself, each act of kindness, reflection, or discipline quietly shapes the woman you are becoming. It is not about perfection or grand gestures, it is about consistency, about showing up fully for yourself. Even in the small, unseen moments, life will continue to test you, to demand more than you feel you can give. And there will be days when your energy falters, when your focus drifts, when doubt creeps in. But these habits are a compass, subtle but steady, reminding you of your own strength, your own clarity, and your own capacity to rise above the noise. They are not shields that eliminate struggle, but they are anchors that hold you steady when everything around you shifts. The power of this practice is that it returns you to yourself. It gives you the ability to notice the inner voice, to care for your body, to protect your mind, to pause and reflect, and to move through life with intentional generosity and grounded awareness. When all of these elements come together, you discover a calm that is not passive, a strength that is not loud, and a confidence that does not need validation from the world. What emerges is a life led not by reaction but by choice, a life where your energy, your time, and your presence belong to you first, and only then ripple outward into everything you touch. You carry a quiet authority, a knowing that what you nurture internally will shape what you experience externally. The chaos of life may come, but you meet it from a place of alignment, clarity, and resilience that cannot be shaken easily. And in this alignment, you find a kind of freedom, a freedom from the constant comparison, the endless expectations, the self-doubt that once held you hostage. You realize that the most important work is not what you do for others, but what you cultivate within yourself. That is where true strength lives, and that is where transformation begins, quietly and steadily, until it becomes the rhythm of your life. So as you carry these ideas with you, let them settle gently, not as pressure, but as guidance. Let them remind you that every moment contains an opportunity for care, attention, and growth. Let them help you meet yourself with patience, honor your own journey, and step forward with the quiet determination that comes from knowing your inner world is strong, intact, and alive. And when tomorrow comes and the day stretches ahead, you will step into it differently, not with noise or haste, but with presence, with awareness, and with a steady confidence that the life you are building moment by moment is guided by intention, shaped by care, and carried forward by the quiet power of the woman you are becoming.